So, did Pat McAfee just apologize to the mob? Or is it the fact that he does not understand the mob itself and thinks that his apology is quote unquote the standardized apology? Either way, though, you never bow to the mob. However, I think it's a little bit more complicated than some, let's just say, some sports-focused channels here on the platform. How do I say this? I think it's a little bit more complicated than the picture that they are painting for you.
I don't want to say it because, there is a all-out onslaught against me right now for simply linking one terrible thing from a school with the most terrible thing from the school to a friend in a reply tweet, talking shit to a friend.
Yes. Right.
And I do apologize if some people took that in a different way and then spun it in their own narrative to offend a bunch of other people and then kind of did that whole thing. I was simply talking shit to my friend. But does it feel...
Okay. This right here is going to be one of two videos tomorrow, one at 5, one at 7. I'm going to be at the doctor's office in the morning, and I need to go ahead and record some videos for tomorrow. And obviously, this is going to involve my right foot. I've talked to you guys about this before. Things still have not fully healed, but yet I'm still kicking on it, of course. And, of course, the left foot was injured when I was in the military. But those right there are situations that, quite frankly, I'll be talking about probably more towards the end of the videos. I also give you guys a few updates, too. So you guys saw about 31 seconds there of Pat McAfee basically apologizing for a, how do I say this? Kind of like a just a very, very ill-fated joke. I'm showing you guys the tweet right here. That it was in response to Larry Nassar. So apparently the University of Michigan or Michigan State Wolverines, they're trying out these new uniforms. And, of course, you guys see the joke, the little comment that he had. Which makes me think to myself, maybe he doesn't understand Twitter, which, by the way, it's now X. Of course, that's what Elon Musk is calling it. And, of course, we had these concerns with Pat McAfee going over to ESPN. Now, guys, really quick. He's not actually started working for them yet, but yet he's already signed the contract. So, obviously, he's got days to lean into. And you might be thinking to yourself, this right here is the start. All of your concerns, the concerns that I had, the concerns that many others out there had about him possibly capitulating and doing more what ESPN wants him to do rather than his own thing. These things right here are actually already starting to come to pass. And you would be right to be concerned about that because when I first saw this story, I thought the exact same thing. Then I went back and I looked at this New York Post article, and unlike a lot of news organizations, they chose to post the entire 4 minutes. Now, before I show you guys the next 3 minutes and 14 seconds of this, I want you to know right now, the way this video is going to go is I'm going to respond and give you guys my actual thoughts. But before I give you guys my actual thoughts before we're looking at the after looking at the video, I'm also going to be telling you why it is that you should not bow to the mob. But I'm also going to be wondering if Pat McAfee even understands the environment that he is about to get into, especially when dealing with the, let's just say, the left-leaning sports fans. And the joke, of course, was in response to Larry Nassar. I'm pretty sure some of you guys may remember who Larry Nassar is. He is pretty much, for the most part, the word that I'm scrolling across the screen. You can't actually say that here on YouTube or else the video will get a yellow dollar sign. But I'm pretty sure if you know who Larry Nassar is, then you guys know exactly what kind of individual he is. Now, there is one more thing before I show you this. I was listening to McAfee a lot when this thing first broke, the story about Larry Nassar's involvement with those girls. Pretty sick man, if you ask me. Not McAfee, but definitely Nassar. And I remember that Nassar was the focal point for a very, very large portion of this. So you got to be thinking to yourself, would Pat McAfee do enough to alienate his own audience to actually apologize for making what is actually what appears to be just kind of like an offhand, smart mouth comment tweet, which, by the way, he did say he was tweeting. And by the way, it was in the reply section, not an actual full-on tweet. Which, by the way, if you use Twitter, sometimes you may get caught up in the reply section and you're replying to tweets and all that type of stuff there. Either way, though, you don't apologize to the mob. But then again, at the same time, this is a very, very confusing situation because a lot of people out there are kind of running with the narrative that he's apologizing to the mob the exact same way they ran with the narrative on Jason Aldean that he cucked and that he bowed by editing 6 seconds out of the video, try it in a small town, when in reality what actually happened was Fox News or Fox 5 out of Atlanta chose to basically throw in a copyright claim, wanted to take him to court. I had somebody in the comment section the other day trying to goad me and explaining how it is that he did not cuck on that one, but yet at the same time he does not seem to understand exactly how copyright issues can be a bit of a pain, and a lot of times they don't exactly deserve an addressing. But with that right there being said, let's watch the next 3 minutes and 14 seconds of this. I'll come back on the other side, give you guys my personal thoughts on this, and I'll explain to you much further why it is you do not explain to the mob or apologize to the mob anything, and then I will give you guys a few updates, and I'll talk about video number 2.
Does it feel like Michigan State alum are trying to silence some media whenever they acknowledge that Larry Nassar, one of the most horrible humans
ever
of all time?
Yeah.
He was at Michigan State 14 years.
Long time.
So that's not really a part of the story. Like they kind of created, empowered, and so like if that's going to get us canceled, when we get,
Foxy knew.
Just wait.
We're in trouble.
Oh, it's going to get loud.
Loud.
It is going to. I was thinking that yesterday as I was reading this thing. People were, you need to delete this and apologize. I'm like, why? I'm talking shit to my friend about something that definitely happened at his school. And I said, this guy's on a design team. Like, if he was the least of anybody, this guy has done the worst imaginable. So if he did design those terrible jerseys that Michigan State had as well, that wouldn't even be mentioned in the Larry Nassar entire thing.
No.
I want to let everybody know who's coming after me. We believe Larry Nassar, terrible human.
Sure.
Worst human. Disgusting human. I would like to say this show covered that more than probably anybody.
Pretty extensively.
More than anybody about how bad of a guy he is. I think
Definitely.
more than anybody did. So there was a lot of people like, oh, you think this guy's not? It's like, well, no. What I'm saying is, terrible guy. Also, Foxy school.
Yes.
Right.
So I am, and
Where it
now
was.
I do appreciate that Michigan State all kind of came together seemingly around me. There's people talking shit, terrible shit to me. I mean, they were saying some awesomely terrible things to me. But all I could really think about the entire time is like, when Epstein Island gets brought up on.
Man, oh man.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Penn State is undefeated.
Yeah, wait till AQ's here.
Oh my God,
What
AQ's
happened
going to be
there?
right in there. It's like, we need to tell people that there's disgusting, horrible people in powerful positions. We can't this isn't something where it's like, hey, can't talk about this. No, it's like, hey, in our history, very recent history, people were given a lot of power that were very terrible people in the sports world. And the way we decide to cover it is by talking shit to somebody who loves everything about Michigan State because it's his school.
Right.
If I went to Michigan State and this whole thing happened, if they didn't say that to me, we would be avoiding something that is very serious, very terrible, and very real. So I do apologize to everybody that just took my 6-word tweet and then said that I was disrespecting this and not thinking about the victims. It's like, what? I think we're thinking about the victims, future victims, and everything by reminding people that this motherfucker had a lot of power at Michigan State for a long time while being a terrible human being. And I'm just shit talking a friend.
I was going to say, you're taking a shot at a buddy. It's as simple as that.
But I have to, it was an eye opener though.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? It was an eye opener.
Definitely realized some things, but it's not as if it's just those things too. Like, wait till they hear when we talk about the COVID summer of 2023.
Oh
I mean, there are so many other venues.
I was thinking that yesterday.
Back, boys, it's back.
I saw your response.
Yeah.
So good.
And I saw you promoting a movie. There was people trying to get
Bingo.
Basically, what he is saying is, I'm apologizing for the tone. I'm apologizing that people took it that way. I can see how some people would think that maybe he did bow to the mob. But I got to be honest with you guys. I think that McAfee, for the most part, has tried to pride himself on being a good old-fashioned bro, meaning that he's been trying to pride himself on just being a bro sports guy. He doesn't really keep up with politics or anything like that. But then again, at the same time, when you heard the name Epstein at the very, very end, which I think was him saying that for the most part in a joking manner, also something else too, seeing how it was that Aaron Rodgers was on every Tuesday and he would get the actual story from him about what was going on. And we all know, and by the way, as a Packers fan who had Aaron as a quarterback, I kind of already know what he means when he talks and whatnot, and how it was that he got kind of spooky and whatnot with which by the way will come up in video number 2. Fact of the matter is that I don't think that McAfee tries to put on the perception that he understands what's going on in the world, when in fact he probably does. And it's very easy to perceive that he did in fact apologize to the mob. However, I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. I think that McAfee does not understand that a lot of this mob is on Twitter, and a lot of this mob is very fickle, and they will find a way to hit you over anything and everything. Which also makes me wonder why it is that people would not be on board with poking fun of Larry Nassar or shaming him, especially given what he did. The amount of crap that he put those girls through for so long was absolutely abhorrent. He deserves a jail cell. He needs to be locked up for the rest of his life. By the way, that's the politically correct term, because if I tell you what I think should really happen, I'm probably going to get removed from this platform, which is actually quite a shame, especially given the fact we have a First Amendment. But then again, though, at the same time, though, here we are. Fact of the matter is this right here. Even if you apologize for something like that nowadays, it's going to be perceived as weak. Let me explain what I mean by this. The left and the leftist mob, they have this thing about them where they, let's just put it this way here, they don't like you already. So no matter what you give them, they're not going to take unless it's maybe symbolic. The idea is to break you down. It's what we call a struggle session. By the way, when we start doing more and more video essays, which I'm going to go ahead and start doing this month, at least start filming them, start putting them together, and start putting them out roughly once or twice a week. That's probably what I'm going to do on Tuesday, seeing as I'm not posting on Tuesdays, is put one of the video essays out on Tuesday and then do the normal daily content and then release one on Saturday or Sunday, or maybe Saturday and Sunday, depending on how fast I am, and also with Gears 33. But the thing is this right here. You don't apologize to the mob, because if you apologize to the mob, they'll know that they own you. Like I said, it's basically a form of a struggle session. They want to beat you down. They want to grind you into dust. They already know that they're never going to like you. They already hate your guts. So anything you give them is just going to be viewed as simply symbolic. Fact of the matter is that even in that case there, Pat, you probably shouldn't apologize, even though you were apologizing more for how it was taken. These people don't understand apologies. They live to suck your blood. They live to throw crap at you. They live to yell at you. It's kind of like the people in 1984. They live, except they're not being, well, they are to a certain degree being programmed by somebody, but they're doing it naturally because they have a lot of hate in their system. The most hateful people in the world, if you ask me, are actually the woke people. The woke tards are the absolute most hateful people in the world. And I mean, we could get on about their activism and how it is that these people have no absolute lives, how it is that they're doomed to not have kids and whatnot, and how it is if we just give it a few years, eventually they're just going to die out because, quite frankly, like I said before, they can't produce anything. I mean, they're against procreation and all that type of stuff there, but still. And also, not to mention the fact that conservative households have 2 kids per one. Liberal households, so I think in the future will be okay. And I think it's the reason why the left is doing everything that they're doing, especially seeing how the powers that be are right now trying to indict a president again for absolutely nothing, especially after getting some very, very damning information. Yeah, just screw it. Just back on topic. Fact of the matter is this right here. You don't apologize to the mob, because anything that you give them is simply symbolic. They do this type of crap because they want to own you. They're just looking for something to get off of you. If you apologize to them once, chances are it's very, very hard for you to come back. And speaking of Jason Aldean, to give you guys another example, one of the reasons why people think that Aldean catered so fast on this Triton small town thing, even though he's actually suing Whoopi Goldberg for her comments on The View the other day, is because of what happened after the Vegas shooting when he told Dana White he would perform the national anthem at the next UFC event, only to then turn right back around and show up on Saturday Night Live. Made him like a bit of a sellout, which a lot of people are looking at Pat McAfee and they're saying the exact same thing. He's eventually going to sell us out. This is just more and more proof that he is going to sell us out. However, I do need to say this really quick. ESPN right now wants to put his show on ESPN radio. So one might think that he may have actually done it for that very, very reason. But at the same time, though, given the fact that the vast majority of people who reported on the story only reported the apology and not the remaining 3 minutes of what he was trying to say, yeah, I think you guys should have either waited on this or provided a better explanation before you decide to slam the guy. And guys, really, really quick, I have the same exact concerns that you have about McAfee at ESPN. But then again, at the same time, though, if he's willing to say the word Epstein, and the reason why I bring up Epstein and ESPN and, of course, ABC, because ABC is in conjunction with Disney, who's in conjunction with ESPN, of course, is because of this here.
For 3 years, I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had been scared to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything.
That was Amy Robach basically saying we had the story, and then all of a sudden, out of the middle of nowhere, it completely disappeared. I just figured I would throw that out there because I highly doubt that ESPN censored that part or said, hey, look, you got to apologize for that, or they're going to reprimand him. Now, I can tell you right now what I think should happen. I mean, it would probably be a blessing in disguise for McAfee. Let's just say what he said at the very, very end ends up being a very, very big deal. And let's say ESPN reneges on the contract and he goes back to FanDuel, then I think that the other guys in the studio, of course, that they're being hammered on, that right there being, of course, Ty Schmidt and Boston Connor, I think that they would be a little bit more alleviated because it seems to me like these guys are still just simply trying to have fun. So, yes, I do have the exact same concerns you guys have, especially when it comes to the topic of McAfee and ESPN. And, yes, while it does look like he may have been apologizing to the mob, I think it was a little bit more nuanced than people think. Cancel culture is a bit of a pain, but like I said before, you don't apologize to the mob. However, at the same time, though, I think some people who do apologize to the mob don't seem to understand this rule, nor seem to understand the Twitterati's and the Twitter crowd and how it is that they respond and how it is that they react to things. Like I said, I mean, I don't think McAfee really and truly cares about those types of issues, and he's probably going to joke about it anyways. However, one concern that we do have is, will he apologize next time something else comes up? Well, it's very, very possible that he could, but then again, at the same time, though, I think he needs to get a little bit more educated on how the radical left actually works. With that right there being said, guys, I want to go and give you guys a couple of updates, and then I'm going to go and kind of preview the other video because it's obviously an issue that's going to be getting talked about a lot more if it has not already been getting talked about a lot already. So let's go ahead and roll into that. It's actually 2 videos that are going to be coming out tomorrow that I'm about to go ahead and make right now. Guys, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but I've gotten less and less and less on the pure political thing. 2024 is coming up, but tomorrow's video at 7 o'clock is going to be kind of a return to just a here and there video on 2024, especially with this primary coming up. And of course, I came across a very interesting thing on Twitter today. It involves the DeSantis camp. Now, you guys already know, especially those of you who have been subscribed for me the longest amount of time, already know where I lie at on the spectrum. And I've done a lot of videos on this, and I've explained the reasons why. And I've also talked about that Twitter let's just say the shills on Twitter that have been ruining that man's campaign, which I actually thought they would do. The video tomorrow is going to be pointing out something that happened involving AI. Now, there was a video that I wanted to do a few months ago about a previous AI ordeal, and yeah, it involves the same person. Of course, that person is Tim Pool and his meltdown, but for whatever reason, YouTube would not allow that video to actually post. It took like 2 days for it to actually pop up, and I kept delaying it. Finally, I said, screw it. And, this is the way the algorithm works. Very, very weird. But I'll be touching on that very, very briefly. But the other video, of course, is going to be about the situation between Russia and Ukraine and the question about a draft and why it is that a draft probably would not solve the situation, or it may. I don't know. I don't think it will. Maybe there's some positives there. But with the current iteration of men out there, especially given the fact that I've been speaking a lot more about men's issues in the last few videos, yeah, I'm a little bit, let's just say a little bit baffled that anybody might think that today's men, especially those on the left, would actually fight a war or be effective. That right there being said, a couple of extra updates, just some quick things. Tomorrow I'm going to be not near the computer or anything, at least for most of the day. I'm going to be in the doctor's office, and I've also got people coming here to check out my air conditioner. My AC is actually gone awry. But my right foot, which has been ailing me for a while, off and on, we're going to go back to the doctor tomorrow and figure out what's actually going on. So I'll be there for most of the week. Most of tomorrow morning. And, of course, I got to finish up with these acoustic panels. I got to point it out for you guys like an idiot, which I probably shouldn't. 2 blank spots right here, cheap panels, whatnot. I got some more coming in tomorrow, so I'm probably going to be pretty busy in the afternoon, assuming everything goes well at the doctor. With that right there being said, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're new to the channel. Please hit the notifications bell. Share the video. Only about 15% of you guys that watch the content even subscribe. Let's make the channel a lot bigger. Please leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to get you guys' thoughts, and I shall see you guys later.